All right, let's dive into Sri Lanka today.
Sounds good.
We've got this travel guide, Wonders of Sri Lanka. It's really cool, actually.
Awesome.
And it paints Sri Lanka as this super diverse place geographically.
Yeah, I was looking through it too. Just incredible landscapes.
Yeah. So we'll be hitting the highlights of the beaches, the highlands, sprinkle in some of those fascinating details, really make Sri Lanka come alive for our listeners.
Let's do it.
Okay, so right off the bat, the guide breaks it down into three main regions:
Yeah.
beaches, highlands, and
Cultural triangle,
it's
right?
a cultural triangle, yeah.
Yeah.
And get this. It says the beaches, they cater to everyone.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like if you're all about relaxing, soaking up the sun, the South Coast with Marissa, Tongale,
Mm-hmm.
Unawatuna,
Mm-hmm.
sounds like, well,
Pure
paradise.
relaxation.
But for someone like you, I know you love a little adventure.
Yeah.
Arugam Bay on the East Coast.
Oh, I've heard of that.
It's supposed to be amazing for surfing.
I bet. The Bay of Bengal, right? I'd imagine the waves there are fantastic.
That's what the guide says. Then you got the hill country,
Okay.
total contrast to the beaches.
Really?
Nuwara Eliya.
New Orleans. Mm-hmm.
They call it Little England.
I can see why. With the tea plantations.
Yeah, and the cooler climate.
Yeah.
I know you're a big tea drinker.
I am. It's interesting how that came about, though, right? The British, during the colonial era,
Oh, yeah.
they established those tea plantations because of the hill country's higher elevation. Cooler climate, perfect for growing tea.
Makes sense.
The guide actually goes through the whole tea production process.
Right.
Picking, withering, rolling,
Ah.
fermenting, drying. It's a lot of work. Really highlights how much goes into each cup.
No kidding. I'll definitely think about that with my next cuppa. Then there's the cultural triangle.
Yeah, that's what I'm really interested in.
Oh, yeah.
Ancient cities, Polonnaruwa and Radapura,
Yeah.
and of course, Sigiriya.
Oh, yeah, Sigiriya. Can't forget that.
Mhm.
Incredible rock fortress.
Absolutely, it's a must-see.
The guide dives into the history, too. Ancient Sinhalese Kingdom.
Oh, wow.
One of the longest-lasting monarchies in history. Can you believe that?
That's incredible.
And, the influences from India, Arab traders, and the colonial powers.
Such a crossroads of cultures, yeah.
That's what the guide was saying. But, the arrival of Buddhism back in the 3rd century BCE
Huge impact, right?
really shaped their culture.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Turned the island into a center for Buddhist learning, shaped their identity even today.
It's amazing how these influences, how they all come together. And I'm sure that's reflected in their cuisine, too.
Absolutely.
The guide makes it sound so delicious.
Fusion of flavors, right?
Yeah, fusion of flavors. And arts and crafts, textiles, pottery.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Beautiful jewelry, wood carving. It's all so intricate.
So we've got history, culture, amazing food, incredible landscapes.
We've got it all.
I'm hooked already.
Same here. And speaking of those beaches, remember, the guide goes into detail about what makes each one unique.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so like Unawatuna, for example.
Unawatuna, great snorkeling and diving there.
Because of the coral reefs.
Exactly, beautiful coral reefs. And then Marissa.
Oh, that was the surfer's paradise.
Yeah, perfect for surfing, beautiful waves.
Right. So many options. It's fantastic.
What about something more low-key, though? Some people might want a different vibe.
Totally. Well, for that, the guide recommends Weligama.
Willigama, okay.
More laid back, and if you're traveling with family, Bentota.
And Toda, I've heard it's great for families.
Yeah, calm waters, perfect for kids.
It makes sense. So you've got options for everyone, really.
Absolutely. And, of course, for those who like a little fun after the sun goes down, there's Hikadua.
Hikadua, known for its nightlife.
Exactly. And for a quieter experience, the guide suggests Tongale.
Tongale, yeah. More secluded, peaceful escape.
And then Arugam Bay again, for those serious surfers.
Right. The surf culture there is amazing, really lively.
Really a beach for everyone, huh?
Yeah, it seems like it.
Okay, let's head inland now. All right, inland it is.
I want to hear more about those ancient ruins.
Me too. Those cities, the guide says they're just incredible.
Anuradhapura, the first capital.
Yeah, Anuradhapura, wow. Filled with stupas, these magnificent dome-shaped Buddhist shrines.
I can't even imagine.
You've got the Ruwanweli Mahasaya, massive.
Wow.
And then the Jetavanarama, even bigger. I mean, just massive.
Wow, the scale of these things.
And the Brazen Palace, just the ruins alone. You can see the architectural genius.
It's mind-blowing.
And the Kritampakuna, the Twin Ponds. So peaceful.
Really takes you back, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Then you've got Polonnaruwa, the second capital.
Okay, yeah, what about Polonnaruwa?
The Galviharaya, incredible. Colossal rock-cut Buddha statues, amazing artistry.
Wow.
And the Royal Palace Complex, the Vitadij Temple, it's circular, really unique.
I've never seen anything like this.
And the Lankatalaka Temple, so grand, such intricate
It
details.
sounds like a step back in time.
It really is. And speaking of stepping back in time,
Wow.
Sigiriya, can't forget that.
Sigiriya, right? The crown jewel of Sri Lanka.
Absolutely a must-see, a UNESCO World Heritage Site for good reason.
It's just incredible to think they built a palace on top of this massive rock.
I know, King Kashyapa, what a statement.
And the Lion Rock entrance, those frescoes of the Cloud Maidens.
Oh yeah, the Cloud Maidens. You know, their purpose is still debated.
Really?
It's fascinating. Some think they're celestial beings connecting his rule to the divine.
Intriguing.
Others say they might be portraits of the king's consorts, or maybe even just an ideal of feminine beauty.
Oh, wow. So many interpretations.
It's all part of the mystery, right? But while the architecture is stunning, the gardens are equally impressive.
Oh, the gardens.
Intricate water features, ancient landscaping techniques. They really knew what they were doing.
That's amazing. Okay, so we've covered beaches, history, culture, and ruins. Now, Sri Lanka also seems to be a paradise for wildlife.
Oh yeah, it's a biodiversity hotspot, the guide says. So many national parks to explore.
That's right, the national parks. What about Yala National Park?
Yala, that's the one for leopards.
Leopards. Wow.
Sri Lankan leopards, they're smaller, different coat pattern than other leopards.
Okay, cool. The guide also mentioned Wilpatu National Park.
Wilpatu, the largest one in Sri Lanka, known for its man-made lakes.
I was curious about those. What kind of wildlife do they attract?
Bird watchers, get ready.
Okay.
Over 400 bird species.
That's incredible.
Pelicans, painted storks, maybe even a gray-headed fish eagle. Incredible wingspan on those.
Wow. And, of course, we can't forget Udaoloa National Park.
The elephant haven.
Exactly. So with all this variety, where do we even start?
Well, the guide suggests Kandy.
Kandy, yeah. The cultural capital nestled in the highlands.
Exactly, a must visit. And the Temple of the Tooth Relic is incredible.
The tooth relic. What's that?
It houses a relic of the Buddha's tooth, one of the most sacred Buddhist sites in the world.
Wow, okay. And they have this Isala Perahera festival in Kandy too, right?
Oh, yeah. A 10-day spectacle, dancers, drummers,
Wow.
elaborately decorated elephants parading through the streets, all in honor of the tooth relic. You know, I think you'd love it.
Sounds amazing, yeah.
Hmm.
But beyond the temple, what else is there to see in Kandy?
Oh, plenty. The Paradinia Botanical Gardens are stunning. Orchids, exotic plants, and a beautiful lake for a relaxing stroll.
Sounds like a perfect mix of culture and nature.
It really is. And speaking of things that are iconic to Sri Lanka, the tea plantations.
Right. The tea trails. I can't wait to hear more about those.
Well, the guide dedicates a whole chapter to them.
That's great.
You know, it's remarkable how the British, back in the 19th century, introduced tea, and it became such a huge part of Sri Lanka.
Their identity, their economy.
Absolutely. And Nuwara Eliya, that's the heart of tea country.
Little England, right?
Yeah.
I can just imagine how beautiful it is.
Rolling hills,
Yeah.
lush tea plantations, the cooler climate, the colonial architecture.
Like stepping back in time.
It really is. And then you've got Colombo, the capital.
Colombo, okay. What's Colombo like?
Bustling mix of modern and colonial architecture. Great food, amazing shopping.
Sounds vibrant. Very vibrant, a lot of energy. You've got colonial buildings next to skyscrapers, bustling markets next to trendy cafes.
That contrast sounds really interesting.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you get the best of both worlds.
That's awesome. And the guide mentioned a few specific spots, Galleyface Green and the Old Dutch Hospital. What are those like?
Galleyface Green is a huge promenade along the coast. People go there to relax, enjoy the sea breeze, watch the sunset. It's a popular spot.
Sounds lovely.
And the Old Dutch Hospital.
Yeah.
They've restored it beautifully.
Oh, wow.
It's got trendy restaurants, boutiques now.
I love when they do that. Preserve the history, but give it a modern use.
Right. It's the best of both worlds.
Mm.
And then there's the National Museum of Sri Lanka.
What's that like?
Oh, it's fantastic. They have
Yeah.
this vast collection spanning centuries.
Really?
Ancient statues, intricate jewelry, royal regalia, even manuscripts.
Wow.
It's a journey through Sri Lankan history, art, and culture.
Sounds like a must-see.
It is. And of course, we have to mention Galley again with its famous Dutch fort. Galley Fort, right. A UNESCO World Heritage Site.
It is, and for good reason. The architecture is just amazing.
The guide was saying it's got this blend of styles, right?
Exactly. Portuguese, Dutch, and British influences all layered on top of each other.
It's amazing how architecture can tell the story of a place.
It really can. And within the fort, there are a couple of spots you should check out. The Dutch Reformed Church and the Galley Fort Museum.
What are those like?
The Dutch Reformed Church is a beautiful example of Dutch colonial architecture. Simple, elegant, and steeped in history.
Beautiful.
And the Galley Fort Museum, it's in a former Dutch warehouse.
Oh, wow.
Fascinating exhibits on the fort's history, its role in trade, the lives of the people who live there.
Sounds like a history lover's dream.
It is. But beyond the history, Galley has this surprisingly laid-back vibe.
Really?
It's a haven for artists, artisans. You'll find galleries with contemporary Sri Lankan art, boutiques selling handmade jewelry, textiles, and workshops where you can learn traditional crafts.
So history, art, shopping, and a relaxed atmosphere.
Exactly. It's the perfect place to soak up the coastal atmosphere, wander the streets, and enjoy a slower pace of life.
It sounds lovely. Okay, so we've talked about Colombo, the bustling capital, and Gali, the charming coastal town. But there's one more aspect of Sri Lanka we haven't explored as much. It's spirituality.
Oh, right. Sri Lanka is deeply spiritual.
And Buddhism plays a huge role.
Absolutely. The guide recommends visiting Dambulla Cave Temple and Miantale for a truly immersive spiritual experience.
Dambulla Cave Temple, I saw pictures. It looks amazing.
It is. You climb this steep rock face and you find yourself in these caves.
Wow.
Filled with intricate carvings, colorful murals, serene Buddha statues.
It sounds breathtaking.
It is. It's a testament to the devotion and artistry of generations of Sri Lankan Buddhists.
Incredible. And Mihantale.
Mihantale, that's where Buddhism was first introduced to Sri Lanka.
Oh, wow. So it's a very significant place.
A sacred mountain, steeped in legend and history.
I bet it had this incredible energy.
It does. It's believed that Prince Mahinda, son of Emperor Ashoka, arrived there, converted King Devanapiyatissa to Buddhism, a pivotal moment in Sri Lankan history.
Wow. And the guide also recommended Ruan Wilasaya, that massive stupa.
Oh, yes, Ruan Wilasaya. It's one of the largest and most sacred stupas in Sri Lanka.
What makes it so special?
Well, the size is impressive, of course, but it's also the intricate carvings and the gleaming white dome, a true beacon of faith for Buddhists.
It sounds amazing. So we've got these ancient temples, sacred mountains, and massive stupas, all offering a glimpse into Sri Lanka's spiritual side. But for those who want to go beyond sightseeing, really immerse themselves.
Yeah.
What about meditation retreats?
Sri Lanka is perfect for that. There are tons of meditation centers, from simple ashrams to luxury resorts.
Boy.
You can learn meditation techniques, practice yoga, delve deeper into Buddhist teaching.
Sounds like a chance to disconnect and recharge.
Exactly. Finding peace and stillness amidst the beauty of Sri Lanka.
And the guide mentions some specific spiritual experiences too.
Oh, yes. You can participate in a traditional blessing ceremony, listen to monks chanting, or try a silent meditation retreat.
Oh.
Immersing yourself in the tranquility of nature, really connecting with Sri Lankan spirituality.
It sounds incredibly enriching. Okay, so we've covered so much ground. Breathtaking landscapes, ancient cities, vibrant culture, spiritual depth.
It's incredible.
But there's still so much more to explore.
We've just scratched the surface.
Sri Lanka truly seems like a destination that keeps on giving,
It really does.
offering something for everyone, and I think that's what makes it so appealing.
I agree.
It's not just a place you visit. It's a place that touches your soul.
It really does. And that's what makes it so special. You know, going deeper into these places, it really makes you think about the stories behind them.
Oh yeah, like what?
Well, like those ancient cities in the Cultural Triangle,
Yeah.
the guide gives you the history, sure.
Mm.
But what about the people who lived there, you know, centuries ago?
Oh, I see what you mean, like their daily lives.
Exactly. What was it like to actually live in those cities?
Yeah, to walk those streets.
It really sparks the imagination, doesn't it?
It does. And speaking of sparking the imagination,
Yeah.
Sigiriya.
Oh, Sigiriya, such a fascinating place.
The guide says it was built by King Kashapa, right?
Right, King Kashapa.
After he took the throne from his brother.
A bit of a power move, you could say.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, building your palace on top of a giant rock.
Talk about a statement.
It's like a giant, look at me, I'm king.
Right, I mean, defense was definitely a factor.
Oh yeah, you'd be pretty hard to attack up there.
But choosing such a dramatic, visually stunning location.
It's a power move for sure.
And those Cloud Maidens frescoes.
Oh yeah, the Cloud Maidens.
The guide says their purpose is still debated.
Really? What are the theories?
Well, Some scholars believe they represent celestial beings,
Yeah.
connecting Kashyap's rule to the divine.
Interesting.
Others think they might be portraits of the king's consorts or even just an ideal of feminine beauty.
Oh, wow. I love all those
It
interpretations.
adds to the mystery, doesn't it?
It does. Okay, let's switch gears a bit.
Okay, what's next?
Let's talk about the national parks.
The national parks. Yes, Sri Lanka is a biodiversity hotspot for sure.
What kind of unique creatures can we expect to see?
Oh, so many. Sri Lanka has incredible endemic species.
Endemic meaning.
They're only found in Sri Lanka.
Oh, cool. Like what?
Well, in Yella National Park, for example,
Yeah, there's
you might spot a Sri Lankan leopard.
leopards. Wow.
They're smaller than other leopards, and they have a different coat pattern.
Interesting. What else?
Keep an eye out for the sloth bear.
Sloth bear. What's that?
It's this nocturnal creature, shaggy coat, loves honey.
Ah, they sound kind of cute.
They are, in a way, but
Yeah.
don't get too close.
Noted. What about Wilpatu National Park?
Wilpatu, yes.
Yeah.
With those man-made lakes,
The lakes, what do they attract?
birds, and more birds.
Oh, wow. So it's good for bird watching.
A paradise for bird watchers. You might see flocks of pelicans, painted storks, maybe even a gray-headed fish eagle.
The fish eagle, that's the one with a huge wingspan, right?
That's the one.
Incredible. And Udawala, we can't forget about the elephants there.
Ah, Udawala, the elephant haven.
What's it like to see them in their natural habitat?
It's amazing. You'll likely see them in herds, led by a matriarch.
Matriarch.
The oldest, most experienced female. She leads the herd,
Cool.
and you'll see the calves playing with their mothers.
Oh, that's adorable.
It really is. And they have these fascinating ways of communicating.
Really?
Sounds, gestures, even scents. It's incredible to watch them interact.
It sounds like you could learn so much just by observing them.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it. But beyond the wildlife,
Yeah.
the guide also talks about some amazing hiking trails.
Oh, hiking trails. I love hiking.
Well, Sri Lanka has some incredible options.
Like what?
Well, there's Horton Plains, Adams Peak, and the Knuckles Mountain Range.
Okay, those sound pretty unique. What's Horton Plains like?
Horton Plains is a more gentle hike, really peaceful,
Okay, sounds relaxing.
beautiful views, misty grasslands, unique plants. And then you come to World's End.
World's End. That sounds dramatic.
It is. It's this dramatic cliff edge with incredible views.
Wow. What about Adams Peak?
Adams Peak is more of a pilgrimage.
Oh, interesting.
It's sacred to several religions, and the atmosphere is very spiritual.
I bet.
The hike itself can be challenging.
How so?
The final ascent is thousands of steps.
Oh, wow.
Many people climb at night so they can see the sunrise from the summit.
That sounds incredible.
It's supposed to be awe-inspiring. And then there's the Knuckles Mountain Range.
The Knuckles. What an interesting name.
They get their name from the shape of the peaks. They look like a clenched fist.
Oh, I see.
The Knuckles offer more rugged hikes, challenging trails.
Okay, so if you're up for a challenge.
Exactly. Dense forests, rocky outcrops, hidden waterfalls. It's a real adventure.
Sounds like it. Now, the guide also mentions a couple of waterfalls.
Oh, yes, the waterfalls. Sri Lanka has some beauties.
Which one stood out to you?
Well, Ravana Falls and Bambarkonda Falls are definitely worth mentioning.
Okay, what's special about Ravana Falls?
It's a tiered waterfall, so the water cascades down a series of rock formations.
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
It's also steeped in mythology, which makes it even more interesting.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, the legend goes that Ravana, the demon king from the epic Ramayana, he hid Sita, his captive, behind the waterfall.
Wow, so the myths really come alive in these places.
They do, and Bambarkonda Falls, that one's all about power and height.
Okay,
It's the tallest waterfall in Sri Lanka, just this massive cascade of water.
I can only imagine the sound.
It's truly humbling to stand at the base and feel the mist on your face.
That was like an incredible experience. Okay, so we've talked about the natural wonders. Now let's get back to the cities.
All right, back to civilization.
What about Colombo, the capital city? What kind of vibe does it have?
Colombo is buzzing, a mix of old and new, always something going on.
Sounds like it never sleeps.
Pretty much. You've got colonial buildings next to modern skyscrapers, bustling markets next to trendy cafes, historic temples near vibrant nightlife.
Wow, so it's got some fun for everyone.
Absolutely. You can find pretty much anything you want in Colombo.
That's great. And the guide mentioned Galleyface Green and the Old Dutch Hospital. What are those like?
Galleyface Green is this huge promenade along the coast,
Okay.
a popular spot for locals and tourists to just hang out, enjoy the sea breeze, watch the sunset.
Sounds relaxing.
It is. And the Old Dutch Hospital, they've done a beautiful job restoring it.
Yeah, I love when they do that.
Right. Now it's got trendy restaurants and boutiques inside.
The best of both worlds. And what about the National Museum of Sri Lanka?
Oh, the National Museum is a must-visit for history and art lovers.
What kind of exhibits do they have?
They have a huge collection covering centuries of Sri Lankan history and art.
Wow. So what can you see there?
Ancient statues, intricate jewelry, royal regalia, manuscripts, all sorts of things.
Sounds like a treasure trove of artifacts.
It is. It's a great way to delve into the island's heritage.
I bet. Speaking of heritage, we have to talk about Galley again, with its famous Dutch fort.
Ah, yes, Galley Fort, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and deservedly so.
The guide was really emphasizing the mix of architectural styles there.
It's amazing you can see the layers of history.
Oh, how so?
Well, the Portuguese built the initial fortifications back in the 16th century.
Okay.
Then the Dutch expanded and modified it in the 17th century.
So you can see both Portuguese and Dutch influences.
Exactly. And later on, the British added their own touches.
Wow, so it's like a timeline of Sri Lanka's colonial past, all in one place.
It really is. And there are a couple of spots within the fort you should check out.
Okay, what are they?
The Dutch Reformed Church,
Yeah,
beautiful example of Dutch colonial architecture,
okay.
and the Galley Fort Museum.
What's that like?
It's in a former Dutch warehouse full of fascinating exhibits,
What kind of exhibits?
all about the fort's history, its role as a trading hub, the lives of the people who lived and worked there.
Sounds fascinating.
It is, but what's really cool about Galley,
Yeah.
despite all the history, it has this really relaxed vibe.
Really?
It's become a bit of an artist haven.
Oh, cool.
You'll find galleries with contemporary Sri Lankan art,
Oh.
boutiques selling handmade jewelry and textiles, workshops where you can learn traditional crafts.
Wow, so it's got a creative side, too.
Definitely. It's the perfect place to slow down, soak up the atmosphere, enjoy the coastal life.
It sounds idyllic. Okay, so we've covered Colombo, the bustling capital, and Galley, the charming coastal town.
Two very different vibes.
They are. But there's one more aspect of Sri Lanka we need to talk about.
Oh, right. We can't forget about the spiritual side.
Exactly. The guide emphasizes Sri Lanka's spiritual depth.
And Buddhism plays such a significant role.
Absolutely. It recommends visiting Dambulla Cave Temple and Mihantale for a truly immersive spiritual experience.
Dambulla Cave Temple. Oh, it's breathtaking.
I've seen pictures. It looks incredible.
It's even more stunning in person.
What's it like?
You climb this steep rock face, and suddenly you're in these elaborate cave temples.
Wow.
Intricate carvings, colorful murals, serene Buddha statues everywhere.
Wow. Sounds like a really powerful experience.
It is a testament to the devotion and artistry of generations of Sri Lankan Buddhists.
In Mihantale, that's where Buddhism was first introduced to Sri Lanka, right?
That's right, a very sacred site.
I bet it has this amazing energy.
It does. It's a mountain steeped in legend and history.
The guide says that Prince Mahinda, son of Emperor Ashoka, arrived there.
Yes, and he converted King Devanampiatissa to
A
Buddhism.
real turning point in Sri Lankan history.
A pivotal moment that shaped the course of the island's spiritual journey.
Wow. And the guide also recommended visiting Ruwan Wilizaya, that massive stupa we talked about earlier.
Ruwan Wilizaya, one of the largest and most sacred stupas in Sri Lanka.
What makes it so special?
Well, its size is impressive, of course.
Yeah, it's huge.
But it's also the intricate carvings and the gleaming white dome, a true beacon of faith for Buddhists.
It sounds incredible. Okay, so we've got these ancient temples, sacred mountains, and massive stupas.
All offering a glimpse into Sri Lanka's rich spiritual heritage.
But what about for people who want to go beyond sightseeing and really immerse themselves?
You mean like a spiritual retreat?
Exactly.
Sri Lanka is the perfect place for that.
Really?
Oh, yeah. There are so many meditation centers, from simple ashrams to luxurious resorts.
Wow, so there's something for everyone.
Definitely. You can learn meditation techniques, practice yoga, delve deeper into Buddhist teachings.
Sounds like a chance to disconnect from the world and reconnect with yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Finding that inner peace amidst the beauty and tranquility of Sri Lanka.
The guide mentions a few specific spiritual experiences that travelers can seek out.
Oh, yes. There are some unique opportunities.
Like what?
You could participate in a traditional Buddhist blessing ceremony,
Okay.
listen to monks chanting ancient sutras,
Wow.
or even try a silent meditation retreat.
A silent retreat.
Yeah, immersing yourself in the quiet solitude of nature.
That sounds really powerful.
It is a chance to really disconnect from the noise of the world and connect with your inner self.
It seems like Sri Lanka offers a really unique opportunity to tap into something deeper.
It does. It's not just about sightseeing, it's about experiencing a different way of life, a different pace, a different perspective.
I love that. So we've covered a lot of ground already, from breathtaking landscapes and ancient cities to vibrant cultures and profound spiritual experiences.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. What stands out to you most from all this?
You know, what really strikes me is how Sri Lanka manages to blend all these elements together so seamlessly.
What do you mean?
Well, you can hike through ancient ruins one minute, witness a vibrant religious ceremony the next, then relax on a pristine beach, and then explore a bustling city, all in a single day.
Wow, that's a lot to pack into one day.
It is, but that's what makes Sri Lanka so special. It truly engages all your senses, offers a unique perspective on the world.
I agree. It's like a symphony of experiences all coming together to create something truly special.
Exactly. And the best part is,
Yeah.
we've only just scratched the surface. There's still so much more to discover.
I know. It's exciting to think about all the hidden gems waiting to be explored.
Sri Lanka is a country that rewards curiosity.
I like that.
It invites you to delve deeper, to go beyond the tourist trail, and really experience the heart and soul of the island.
And speaking of those hidden gems, I'm curious about what other adventures might await us. Yeah, the guide mentions hidden waterfalls, lush rainforests,
Oh yeah, those sound incredible.
charming villages off the beaten path.
Definitely worth exploring.
It makes me wonder, what kind of interactions you might have in those less touristy areas.
That's a great point. It's one thing to visit the famous spots,
Right.
but getting off the beaten track,
Yeah.
that's where you really experience the heart of a place.
And the people.
The people, exactly.
Hmm.
Imagine sharing a cup of tea with a family in a rural village,
Oh, wow.
learning about their traditions, their way of life.
Those are the kinds of experiences that stay with you.
Absolutely, those authentic connections, that's what makes a trip truly memorable.
Totally agree. And, as we've been talking about all these incredible aspects of Sri Lanka, one thing that keeps coming to mind is balance.
Balance, yeah, I see what you mean.
It seems like Sri Lanka really embodies that in so many ways.
It does. Tradition and modernity, nature and culture, spirituality and adventure.
It's all there in harmony.
Like they've found this perfect blend.
Right. And I think that's what draws people to Sri Lanka.
Makes sense.
It's a chance to reconnect with something we've maybe lost.
In our busy lives.
Yeah, in our busy modern world.
It's a reminder to slow down,
Yeah.
appreciate the simple things, connect with nature, with ourselves.
And I love how Sri Lanka is also committed to sustainability.
Oh, yeah, the guide mentioned that too.
They're really leading the way in ecotourism.
Preserving their natural and cultural heritage for future generations.
It's inspiring, honestly.
It is. It's about being mindful travelers,
Right, not just consuming experiences.
but actually contributing to the well-being of the places we visit.
Respecting the environment, the local communities.
Exactly. It's about traveling with intention, with a sense of responsibility.
I love that. Well, as we wrap up our deep dive into Sri Lanka,
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
it really does. I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
All right, I'm ready.
Imagine you've just returned home from this amazing Sri Lankan adventure.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
How do you bring that sense of balance, that spirit of mindful adventure, back into your everyday life?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's like Sri Lanka plants a seed,
It does.
inspiring us to live more consciously, to find that harmony within ourselves and with the world around us.
I think you nailed it. It's not just about the trip itself.
Right.
It's about the ripple effect it creates.
Exactly, how it changes our perspective, our way of being in the world,
So, as our listeners continue on their own journeys,
wherever they may lead.
may the spirit of Sri Lanka guide them toward a more balanced, mindful, and harmonious way of life.
Beautifully said.
And until our next deep dive, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep embracing the wonders of this incredible world.
I'll see you then.